makes a person of interest. Coach Micheal Burt cuts to the chase, interviewing some of the biggest names in the world. How do they think? What makes them tick? What are their thought processes? And how they became a person of interest.
I'm Coach Micheal Burt, the Super Coach, coming to you live today from the Greatness Factory. We've had an incredible day following this real estate legend around, Hoss Pratt. And, you know, I've heard about you for a long time, Hoss, from a lot of people. And I wish my name was Hoss, by the way. Hoss Burt. That sounds good, doesn't it?
You may be a country singer.
Country Burt can survive.
Yeah, right.
But I've heard about Hoss Pratt from a lot of different people and checked him out. And we're becoming buddies. And I'm really liking what he's doing. So I said, man, I got to have you on an episode of Person of Interest. We believe people of interest attract business versus chase it. Right. We believe people of interest live fascinating lives. They go to fascinating places. They do fascinating things. And I think that's really what you're doing, man. You're a person of interest in the world. He came to us from Dallas, Texas. He spoke at the Realtor Blaze today for one of our top clients, Carrie Ann Sear, Kristen Stayback, and Emily Daniel. So, Hoss, welcome to Tennessee.
I'm fired up, man. It's great to be here.
You ready to listen to some country music?
Yeah,
Are you a big
right.
country music guy?
Cold beer and country music, man. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I told Hoss it's only the hottest day of the year in Tennessee. When I go to Texas, I'm like, dang, it's hot in Texas.
It feels like Texas here.
But it is, man.
Yeah,
It is. So thank you for being on Person of Interest, man. And I know we're going to do some more things together, but I like to dig into your story, a little bit about how you got to where you are today. So let's go back a little bit and let's talk about the early Hoss Pratt.
Wow, how early?
Like let's talk about when you had the revelation that you wanted to do what you do now. Were you turned on to this? I heard your story today when you were at Realtor Blaze. You mowed yards,
Yep.
and you had an entrepreneurial gene in you,
Yes.
right? And you made things happen early.
Yes.
But did you start out as a real estate agent? And to tell us a little bit about the genealogy of your story.
Yeah, the thing is, so I had a mentor of mine. I grew up in Missouri, Northwest Missouri.
Yep.
Worked on a farm. Farm boy, barely made it through high school. I didn't go to college. And so for me, all odds were stacked against me, right? I mean, I had to do something, but I was fortunate enough to have a mentor named Jimbo who mentored me, and he had me start my first business. I started Pratt Lawns as a teenager, and then he gave me my next piece of advice. He said, it's time to move. And I go, why and where? He goes, you need to move to Texas. And that's what I did. And so I moved to Texas, and I didn't know anybody there, not a single soul. And I got a job going door to door as a door to door salesman.
Oh yeah, here we go. I love this part.
Dude, I sold door to door. I would knock 100 doors every day, every door, every floor. I had the same pitch as Hoss Pratt coming. We're inviting 20 people in for 90% off at the salon. Here, check it out. and I learned sales there though, Coach. So like when I moved to Texas, and I was just hungry, and I got this job going door to door, and I was so hungry that I became good at it, and I became one of the top door to door salespeople in that company.
Yeah.
And that's where my sales really I understood sales was from the door to door, and then I ascended those skills into real estate.
All right, so let me stop you right there. There's a couple things you already said that I really like. One is you had somebody in your life that saw something in you.
Yes.
Right? This
Yes.
Jimbo.
Jimbo.
He saw something in you, and he told you to do something.
Yep.
It's time to move.
And I did it.
And you did it. Now, listen, 90% of people will never move 10 miles from where they're born.
Dude, they will never move.
This is the truth. Like I hope my wife, is my wife watching this? She loves living in Tennessee, but listen, I could live anywhere, really, because I go around the world, and I'm like, man, I like Dallas, I like this, I like LA, I like Huntington Beach, I like a lot of places. But it was impressive that you listened to your mentor and you did it, okay? Now, let's go back to your door-to-door deal, because a lot of successful salespeople started in the door-to-door world.
In the lawn business.
That's exactly right.
They all started.
They all had a lawn business. They all are they the paper routes.
Paper routes. Yeah.
So I want to know, when you said you really learned sales, what was the big revelation you had about sales when you were selling door to door? Because I think I know, but I've not sold door to door. So what was the big aha about selling something that you really learned from that experience?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is experiencing someone's physiology change.
Oh wow.
Right. So like, if you're coming here and I came up and I'm talking, I could see your physiology change based on my level of enthusiasm.
Ooh, it's good.
Based on me saying, here, Coach, check it out.
Right.
Based on if I didn't put the product in your hand and you didn't take ownership and possess it, then I wouldn't sell it. So in door-to-door, it taught me enthusiasm.
Yes.
It taught me positive mindset.
Yes.
It taught me scarcity. It taught me possession. It taught me those things. And you could literally, Coach, I could see the things happening.
Right.
So like, that's what it taught me is I learned the script, but then I could really experience it based on, the things that I think are
So the key words you said there, I want to go back to for the people that are watching. All the big time people that are people of interest, when I wrote this book, have what I would consider a primary hard skill. Like they got a hard skill. Would you consider your primary hard skill, your first hard skill, selling?
Yes.
Okay. Now you use some key words there: ownership, possession. This is that a vernacular from somebody you learned, or is that just?
Dude, I got goosebumps. As soon as you said that, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love selling.
Yes.
I love sales.
Yes.
And it's when and for me, yes, I've read those things in books, but I never experienced it. Like you can't just read something in a book and not, and you can read a lot and know it, but not experience it.
Right, that's right.
But like, I'm telling you, like in sales, like enthusiasm is the number one thing.
Yes.
Number one, because it breaks the pattern. You can see people's energy change. And for me, it was just experiencing it, knocking 100 doors a day, dude. You talk to a lot of people and then you become conditioned to the selling process.
So when you're thinking about it, we're doing door to door, right?
Yep.
And at what part along the way, because a lot of people get into real estate, here's why they get into real estate: autonomy. They got no boss. They got nobody.
Right.
They think they're going to cash checks and drive Cadillacs.
They do.
Right? Like that's what they think.
Yeah.
All right. What prompted you to say, I'm going into real estate?
For me, I think my dad was an insurance agent.
Okay.
And I experienced, just in that experience with him being an insurance agent, and I was looking at, well, do I go into insurance or where do I go sell? I love selling.
Right.
And here's what I thought, my first thought. Realtors are happy, positive people,
Yeah.
right? I just thought of all the realtors I knew, right? And they're like the happy-go-lucky people. I'm like, real estate, that's what I can do. And that's what made me lean towards real estate. And what made me do it is actually I met a guy, he was wearing a shirt one time that said, ask me about real estate.
Oh, wow.
And at this time, I was looking for something different. And I went up to him, I said, hey, tell me about real estate. And that's the guy that recruited me into real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you got into real estate, what did you quickly realize? Did it come easy to you? Because I see a lot of people get in there. I think the stats tell us that 83% of people quit in the first 2 years before their license is up for renewal, because I think they don't have a selling structure. They don't know how to explain their value. They don't have a selling structure. They don't know how to follow up. They don't know how to extract referrals. They don't know how to build a network. They just really don't know how to sell.
Yes.
So they don't make any money. And then they quit and go back to something that they don't like doing. So was it easy for you early? Did you come and have immediate success, or talk to the people about the progression of your success?
This is an important thing, because I should have had immediate success being the top door-to-door salesman in my company and being conditioned to selling, but it didn't work out that way, man. I thought it would, but when I got into real estate, I blew 50 grand my first 6 months.
Okay.
I didn't work a single buyer. I didn't take a single listing, didn't sell a single house, working 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Down to ramen noodles, dude. Like, it was brutal,
Right.
And at this time it was, I wasn't doing what I wasn't leveraging my skills the way I needed to. So, and then whenever I learned the haven't met market, like the for sale by owners and expired listings, dude, I would camp on the phone all day and call those people, and that's when it all changed for me.
Okay.
Because I could, like, knocking 100 doors a day, every door, every floor,
Right.
make 100 calls every dial,
Right.
Smile and dial.
Right.
And that's when everything turned around for me, and I listed 30 homes a month that first month, and
Right.
and I just kept doing that, man, and just.
All right, so let me ask you this. You have a very uncommon enthusiasm about you. A lot of real estate agents don't have that enthusiasm. So how do you instill that in them? Like, I call it activating the prey drive in a person. Prey drive is prevalent in dogs, but it's like the ability to optically see something or envision it, have the guts, the activation, the persistence, the intensity to go get it.
Yeah.
Right? How do you think we can instill that? Because we're coaches. We're coaching
Right.
people. Are we not really trying to activate the prey drive in all these people?
Yeah, I think it's number one is me being enthusiastic. It's contagious.
Yes.
Right. So it's like one of the things like we get around. It's like each other. It's like electricity because of our energy.
Right.
And there's not many people like that make me feel that way.
That's
But I
right.
make you feel that way.
That's
Most
right.
people aren't that way. So I think just in terms of you being that person, I think that it's going to rub off. But really, it's also comes down to mindset. I think so much of everything is mindset and how they think. For me. I know to change anybody's business, I first have to change the way they think.
Yes.
And I think that mindset is what is preventing most people from never getting to where they want to be.
Yeah. Well, triggering that, someone said to me from a conference I spoke at in Miami this weekend, you know, I was really looking for a lot of practical things to do. And I said, that's right. But most of us in the speaking industry, we can't change your life in an hour.
Right.
What we can do in an hour is open your mind to new possibility. Now, where we're going to help change your life is when you buy our programs, when we coach you over a long cycle. But the speaking is just going to open your mind, because we can't do anything big in an hour, 2 hours. So talk about when you started to have some success in real estate and what that success looked like, what that demonstrated capacity looked like. How many houses were you selling? What were you doing? And then when did you say, I can sell the recipe to other people? Because I think we're living in a world where people that bake the cake for a long period of time are good at baking the cake. At some point, they want to sell the recipe. Yeah. And they can make more money selling the recipe than they did baking the cake. So talk about that.
But if you're going to sell a recipe, you better know how to bake the cake.
You better know how to do it.
Bake that cake, and
That's exactly right.
That's the thing. Today, you can sell the recipe if you got the skills and you have the story.
Yes.
And it's easy to do that, right? I mean, it's like somebody today was like, how do you do that on stage? I'm like, I'm talking about what I know, dude. I can talk passionately and through like energy. Right. Because I'm talking about what I've mastered. Right. And, you know, for me, I mean, that's everything is being able to do that.
So when was the moment, talk a little bit about what did you start to do? Was it in your third year of real estate and you're like, okay, now I'm starting to
so here's what happened. So for me, I blew up really fast and it was chaotic as hell. So like for anybody listening, it was like, here's the thing. I have a saying called, get the lawns first. Yeah. So like when I started my first lawn service, I cold called in the winter time and said, hey, it's Haas Pratt Lawns. I want to come give you an estimate on your lawn care this spring. And I got 100 lawns before I ever owned a lawnmower. Yeah. So like that's good business advice for a lot of people, right? Go get the business first. That's right. But for me, it was I always just go get the business first. And, you know, at that time it was chaotic, but I never took my foot off the lead generation throttle. Every day I still took another listing, even though we were backed up going, oh my gosh, it's stressful. We have so many listings. I never, ever stopped getting the listings. Yeah. I've never worked a buyer in my life. All I ever done is list homes. And so I did that for years. Nice. And here's what happened. I was known as the Texas kid because I was in my early 20s. Right. And I had 50, 60 listings. Good. Okay. And people at the time, and people were like, who is this kid that's in his early 20s, has all these listings? And so I was getting interviewed like this. People would interview me in the industry, and I would share. And what happened was I started teaching what I was doing to my real estate office. And I had like 900 agents in that office. Okay. And in that environment, people would come up and say, Haas, dude, that was amazing. You're a great speaker. So like, it just led to that. I felt led. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It wasn't something like, oh, I want to be a coach. It was like, it was a natural progression of my journey so far.
All right, so this is a key point that I want to make for the viewers out there. A lot of people come to me and, you know, they say, well, I haven't found my why or I haven't found my purpose and I feel lost and confused. Here's what I would tell people based on exactly what he's saying. Many times you don't find it, it finds you. That's right. And you find it through the pursuit of doing it and working that muscle like Haas was doing it. And then you know you're good at it when the market validates you. Yes. And people say, Haas, man. And then they start asking, how much would it cost me for you to coach me? Right. Right? Then you know you're really baking the cake so you can sell the recipe.
And that's exactly right. I mean, you know, you gotta, the persistence is everything. It's kind of like this. Somebody says, Haas, where are you gonna be in 10 years? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, if you would have asked me 10, 20 years ago where I'd be today, I couldn't have fathomed where I would be led to, right? There's no way, as a teenager mowing grass, I could have had the why and the vision where I wanted to be right now today. So what I do is I stick to what I do, and and I grind it, and I grow it, and I develop, and what happens is those opportunities come your way. Right. It's not the other way around. Yeah. You got to persist.
Well, one of the things, too, that for people watching is people of interest become known. Now, we live in Nashville, outside of Nashville. People come to Nashville for one reason, to go from a baby star to a big star. They want to be famous, man. Yeah. And in your industry, Brad Lee said this to me one day. He said, Coach Burt, you're real good, but you're not real known. And there's a lot of people who are real good but are not real known. Right. And to be a person of interest, you got to be known for something. Known means, famous means known, renowned, celebrated. Like people, right? You became known as the Texas kid during your 20 to 30, right? You become known for your hustle, You became known for how is he doing this, right? That ultimately led to this concept of the listing boss. So one day he goes, boom, I'm creating this concept called listing boss because that's what I've been doing. What is the listing boss? Tell us about that concept.
You know, for me, let me back up and tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
So I sold my real estate business, and at that time I had when the market crashed, I either was going to go get back into real estate or I was going to go on the road and do seminars. I burned the boats, and I said, I'm going to go on the road. I'm going to follow this. So I spent 200 years on the road, and right?
I know.
And I was on the road, dude, just doing it. But here's the thing, though. I wasn't selling my product at that time when I started. Okay. So there was another trainer, it'd be like the Coach Burt, right, in real estate, and I got your stuff and I liked it. Like somebody got listing boss.
Right.
I knew the guy, or I didn't know the guy, but I knew his name. So I look him up on the white pages and I call the 5 people with his name in Denver where he lived. And I left a message. Hey, this is Haas. I'm a client. You know, I've used your system. I was successful. I'm going to be on the road doing seminars. I'd like to sell your course. I'll pay you 50%. I'll take 50 and see if it's a fit. And he called me back 2 weeks later. He goes, I'll do that deal.
Nice.
And so I was in business, buddy. I hit the road and I was selling that course for a year. And you know, that's what taught me to speak and sell from the stage.
Yes.
Because if you have a product and you're speaking, but you don't have the ability to sell from the stage, you're not going to be a speaker long.
Right.
Books don't make you money, right? It's the other way around. And that's what I did, man. So like I was on the road for 200 days a year, and during this process, I was writing my own system. I always had my system, but it was really organizing my thoughts.
Yes.
And I took 6 months off, and I went into my closet. I took my wife's grandma's quilts. She was so pissed. And I nailed them up around the closet.
Yeah. And
I went in there, and that's where I recorded Listing Boss. And Listing Boss it's a 12-module, step-by-step system.
Okay, I like it.
And we sold it for $497, and we sold millions of them. I mean, millions of dollars from that system.
So is it an online product?
Yes.
Is it a audio? What is it?
Well, then it was an audio, or then it was it was an info product.
Okay.
But now today it's a whole academy, right? It's a whole different deal. But it was that, and that thing just grew legs, and it took off, and that's really for me what established my credibility as an influencer in the industry.
Absolutely.
So
when you think about this, there's a couple things. People of interest create opportunity where there appears to be no opportunity. Like I love when salespeople tell me, who am I supposed to call? We don't have enough leads.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's no way you optimize. Like what do you mean who you're supposed to call? But like what you saw though is you saw an opportunity to buy that dude's stuff, right? Or to use his stuff and give him 50% of it. You created revenue there, right?
Yes.
That's what people of interest do. They don't need somebody to do something for them.
That's
like
right.
I was telling my sales team yesterday, you don't need flyers. All you need is a phone and a phone number of somebody to call.
And he didn't call me, I called him.
That's right.
In 10 years, how many people do you think have called me and said, Haas, I love Listing Boss, dude, I want to be a speaker. I want to travel the country and sell it. I'll pay you 50%. How many people made that call?
Yeah.
Zero, dude. None.
Zero.
So the difference is people of interest make that call.
That's right.
They see the opportunity, and they know that they can make the opportunity happen.
Yes.
I think that's a huge distinction.
All right, so we attract a lot of people who want to speak, coach, train, write books. I say they have a song to sing, and they have an audience they want to sing it to.
Yeah.
I think part of being a person of interest is communication. Like you got to be able to communicate.
Yes.
What would you say to those people that you've learned by going on the road 200 days a year? Because I've played that game too.
Yeah.
And
you have to.
but that's working that muscle, man.
Yeah, man. You got
that's how you become world class.
You can be a speaker unless you spent 200 days a year on the road.
That's how you become world class
Yeah.
is working that. I mean, I started off when I first started leading full day seminars for a company called SkillPath that did 3,000 seminars a month. They paid me $250.
Yeah.
All right, and they gave me a $40 per diem. And so I'm making $290 a day for 8 hours to go into a room. And sometimes there were 4 people, sometimes there were 400 people. But do you know how good you have to get when you're entertaining people for 8 hours?
Yeah, man, you gotta be good.
With somebody else's content?
Yeah.
Like I was selling somebody else's products.
Yeah.
I didn't have my own books at the time. After I did 60 of those, I was still a high school basketball coach when I was doing these. I did them on my days off, in the summer, on holidays.
Yeah, man.
And after about 60, I'm like, man, I could do this. Like I can do my own deal. I can sell my own books. I can create my own programs. What's the biggest lesson you learned from being out there doing that you would give a young speaker and coach?
All right, so rephrase the question.
If you, based on what you've learned by doing the 200 deals, now you're creating products.
Yep.
Now you're doing webinars, right?
Yep.
What's the biggest thing you've learned? Like I've learned now, coaching is a heavy service business.
Yes.
What you really want to do is create a product, right, that you can sell. A
Yes.
webinar is a product, or
Yep.
right? A listing boss now is a system.
Yeah.
Online learning system.
Yeah.
Online learning, that's a product. But have you found that speaking feeds everything for you? Is that still one of your number one drivers?
You know, yes, speaking and online sales for sure.
Okay.
But like, you know, I think it's the expert, the influencer, the person of interest. Everybody has a song in them.
That's right.
But you got to put the freaking song, you know, on the other end of the pin.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Everybody has a book in them.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they can read a book. Like, me read a book, I could have wrote that.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've never
never
a
done
book.
it. Yeah.
And it's a blind spot, man. I think
Yeah.
that like people look at, like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done is
Right.
writing a book or creating
Right.
courses or,
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Because what it does, it takes
Good.
me in all my experiences that I've experienced and know, it forced, like, I had to learn this skill because I could sell. That was the first skill. I could market. I could present one-to-one, then I had to learn to present one-to-many. But here's the biggie. Organizing your thoughts and being able to communicate them in an articulate way
Yeah.
would be the skill that I would say.
Yes.
So for that person, like for you, that you said, well, I was using somebody else's stuff. You know, one of the hardest things to do is is go from learning one language
Right.
to a new language. It's just the same thing as learning a language.
Right.
Like when you left that other company,
Right.
you had to go learn the Coach Burt language.
That's right.
And it's a challenging thing to do,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah.
but you got to you have to do it.
Well, I think what I'm hearing you say is, I say find your special, package your special, which is a part a lot of people can't do.
Right.
Packaging. How do they package their thoughts into something I can purchase? How do they package it into webinars? How do they package it into books, coaching programs? You know, and then how do they sell it? Because some people have it, but they can't package it. Some people have it and package it, but they can't sell it. You would say your secondary skills now are probably marketing,
Yeah.
promotion.
Yeah.
Like your primary hard skill selling.
Yep. Selling, presenting.
Your other skills are marketing, promotion, packaging.
Dude, I had to self-teach myself this all the time. But like for years, every landing page, every sales funnel, I had to build.
Yes.
Like I remember just going through all these cul-de-sacs and challenges of like building a landing page.
Right.
And like you didn't have things like ClickFunnels.
Right.
So like I know how to do all those things.
Right.
But I'm self-taught.
Right.
And I think that for the expert, that person, there's always going to be different skills that you have to learn to be able to execute.
That's right. That's right.
Because you can't outsource everything.
That's right. And you really need to know how the whole machine works.
You got to know how the whole machine works.
All right,
Yep.
so let's end up with a few things here, okay? Because you become known in the world and listing boss. You got a strong brand, Hoss Pratt. You know, you're out there doing big things. What are the next steps for you when you're thinking like, what's the next step? I know you're big in the webinars, right? You're teaching me how to do these webinars, which I'm grateful for.
Yes.
Okay, because I want to learn this skill.
It's going to change your life.
That's a skill, right? I want to come back a couple years from today and say, hey, Hoss Pratt changed my life because he introduced me to these
royalties,
webinars.
man. That's what
right?
I need to do.
He
10%?
introduced me, yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, you'll talk to Katie. Hey, you got to talk to Katie
Talk to
about
the money
that.
man.
You always have to talk to Katie about that. Now, anything I don't want to talk about, that's what I say. You got to talk to Katie. Katie's the one that handles that stuff. So what's the next move for Hoss Pratt? Like, you're here in Tennessee today speaking. You got a listing boss. You had a good showing today for the real estate agents at the Realtor Blaze. You're doing things with some big time people out in the world.
Yes.
What's the next move? What's the next POI move that you're doing? Person of interest.
Well, I'm writing a book
Yes.
right now. It's called Skillionaire.
I love the title.
And you're going to see me ride that pony off into the sunset like a
love it.
Shetland pony at the state fair. I'm going to ride that
Yeah.
message, buddy. And you're going to hear me, speak on that message at stages. And
Okay.
there'll be a
Good.
training and courses
Yes.
in Skillionaire. But it's about building skills. And, for me, what's next is taking that message to the masses, not just a specific industry.
Yeah.
Because I believe that that's everything, is building the skills that will set you free. And so many people, especially the younger people, like, they don't think that way.
Right.
They think, hey, hire me, give me a job, instead of, hey, what can I do to go learn how to do this? And I think it's so important to be able to build those skills. You got to become a skillionaire before you become a millionaire. So you're going to see me expand my audience
Yeah.
and with that message, and I'm never going to stop, Coach. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing.
I love the concept of skillionaire. You know, I told you I'm writing a book similar called Single Digit Millionaire, and that's how to get your net worth between 1 and 10 million. I didn't know the difference, Hoss, between an asset and a liability at 30 years old.
Right.
I was a high school basketball coach.
Yeah.
All I was focused on was winning games. Nobody ever talked to me about money. Nobody talked about how to get my revenue up,
Right.
how to store it away, how to reinvest it in something that would build some serious wealth. So one of my biggest regrets, I'm glad you said that about the young generation, because I'm going to write a book at some point called Go for the Mentor Over the Money.
Yeah.
Because what you can learn under a mentor early versus money out of the gate could make you millions of dollars later, right? But the other thing is, one of my biggest regrets is I didn't have a business coach of 20 to 30. I had people coaching me how to be a better basketball coach, how to win more championships, but I don't know where I would be today. Right? Like I wouldn't just be a single digit millionaire if
Right.
I had that coaching early. So what would you tell people? Our motto, and we'll close on this, is everybody on planet Earth needs a good coach in their life.
Absolutely.
A good coach can change your whole life. Those that have a coach earn 3 and 4 times the amount of money than those that don't.
Right.
Like a good coach will take you to places that you don't even know you need to go to. What would you tell people about that they need a coach in their life?
Yeah, listen, I mean, absolutely. For me, like that's the only reason I'm here is because I've always had a coach or a mentor. And one thing I would tell people is your 20s are not meant to be focused just on getting rich. So for you young folks out there, don't worry about the money, dude. The money's going to come. You go put yourself in a place that you got to master the skills, preferably selling,
Yes.
marketing, right? Being
Yes.
conditioned to that.
Yes.
Is everything. You know, to worry about money in your 20s to me is like worry about the skills. The
Right.
money will come in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and on.
That's right.
And so as far as a coach goes, for me, I wouldn't be where I am without a coach. And it's the finding is reserved for the seekers. It's really, I tell people you're one piece of information away from achieving any level of
That's right.
success.
Yep.
And I believe coaching is like a spiritual relationship. I believe when somebody comes to me, they're supposed to be there. Like I do. I've coached, I got 5,500 hours. If I'm coaching people, I just truly believe they're supposed to be there. And I think that for anybody that's serious about growing, like you have to get a coach.
Yeah.
Because here's why. If you get a coach, it gets you to the community.
Right.
The community gives you the community, but you're going to see different models, and you're going
Right.
to it's really going to screw you up. You're going to get better, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the coach; it's
Right.
what comes with the coach, and it's kind of like tithing, right? You
Right.
tithe. It's like when
Right.
you invest in yourself,
Right. Yeah.
spiritual, like
Yeah.
the return.
That's right.
I mean, listen,
Yeah.
you got to invest in yourself, and Jim Rohn says take 10% of everything, invest it in yourself,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever you want to make,
Yeah.
that's what you got to invest in
Yeah.
yourself. But man, and for you, a guy like you can change a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. That's good, man.
You're amazing at it.
Guys, this is the real deal here. Hoss Pratt, straight out of Dallas, Texas, right? He's done some stuff with my buddy Matt Monero. He's done stuff with Steve Carlos and Hank Norman. He's doing some stuff out on the West Coast with some famous folks. And man, I'm just so glad you got to come to Tennessee.
Love it.
We're going to do some things together, whether that's going to be a day event, retreat event. We're going to do some webinars together. So be on the lookout for this. But you are a person of interest, and you are doing big things in the world, man.
You too, buddy.
So
Thank
God
you,
bless
man.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
you.
man. Appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.